Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Today's show brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drink, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And the pickle bar, led by the barrels and the dills, indeed second to none. Stock up for a big basketball weekend, including Selection Sunday, with Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. And we are in the Sunbury Motors studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors, Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Time now for our play-by-play call of the day. Nittany Lions up 9 late, and Andrew Funk puts it away. Pickett with Harris on his back. They double him. Pickett still has it with 5. Funk wants it. Pickett to Funk at the shot clock. Buzzer gone. Penn State leads at 72-60. Near wing, Epps will fire the 3. He makes it with .1. 79-76. Into dread. The Nittany Lions go to the Big Ten quarterfinals. They knock off Illinois 79-76. 20 wins for the Nittany Lions, and now they've won 6 of their last 7. Last night at the United Center in Chicago, just a quick perspective on the 20-12, which is interesting, and I don't think anybody else has brought this up, but I'll bring it up here. By the way, Ohio State leads Michigan State now 39-34 with 15.5 to play. Michigan State's putting together a run here. Here's the perspective on the 20-12. Do you realize that against 3 teams this season, Purdue, Wisconsin, and Rutgers, Penn State is 0-6. We all know that. But that also means that Penn State is 20-6 against everybody else. I mean, think about that. They're 0-6 against 3 teams. I got it. And 3 of those losses were obviously, 5 points or less. But against everybody else, they're 20-6. So give Ohio State credit. Michigan State pulled a win in 2, and Ohio State's on a 6-0 run, and they're up by 9 again, 42-34. Do we have the king or not?
We do have the king.
Oh, well,
hey.
There he is.
Ho, ho. I'm in parking lot at South Windsor High School. So
Oh, I know it well.
At the last second looked at my phone and said, I have a message. Oh, wow. The show's at 4:05. It's 4:05.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's on me because I have to get on the bus to go over to the United Center. So.
Yeah, you're in Chicago. Man, don't take a wrong turn, dude.
That's why I get on the bus. Okay.
You don't have to worry about driving.
Okay. Let me put it this way: when you're on when you're on the team bus, you feel pretty good because they can't start the game without them. So.
Exactly.
I was like, man, that has turned into a very dangerous city.
Well, you know what? If people don't now. Obviously, I've done a lot of games here. I've done a lot of games at the United Center in my career because the first time I did a tournament game here was 1997. And what people don't realize that don't know the layout of Chicago is I'm downtown. In fact, I literally can see Lake Michigan from my room, along with the big Ferris wheel that's out there. So that's right. That's the view outside my room. The United Center is within the confines of the city limits of Chicago, but it's on the western side of the city, and even with a police escort, it takes a while to get there, especially on a Friday afternoon at rush hour. So I'm getting on the bus.
Did you? I have Soldier Field.
Yeah, I went past Soldier Field on Wednesday.
You see all the glass that goes around it?
Yeah.
I made all the brackets to hold those glasses.
Did you
Really?
That's amazing because it's a beautiful facility. The problem is I don't think they're going to be playing there.
I know.
In a few years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now that's a shame. Now that I know the history behind the glass.
Wow.
Yeah, I did the work for a company called Perma-Stelisa. So, remember way back when I went to a game down there in New York City?
Yeah.
And I had
you did that
whole bunch
work
of
in that
quotes
building
and
down there.
blueprints. And that was Soldier Field I was working on.
Wow.
Oh, wow. It really is really impressive.
And it was all the bracket. I mean, we made a pile of brackets for them, but yeah, we did Times Square Tower in New York City.
Yeah,
wow.
I remember you working on that.
The Borgata.
How about that?
Casino in Vegas and
I remember
whatever.
that.
Then they started buying everything from China, and that was it. It's like, yeah, they were an Italian company. And they're still around, but they got in a little bit of trouble. But I did a lot of work for them.
Now, how long did that take?
It was a huge job. So.
Yeah. How long did that take to build Soldier Field?
I don't know. They were redoing it.
Well, your part, how long did it take? Like the parts that you did?
Reworking the old one.
Yeah.
They put in all the boxes upstairs and, all the glass. And.
But the parts that you did, how long did it take?
I work for does windows for skyscrapers. So
okay.
We did Times Square Tower in New York City.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, you did.
So,
and
it was neat because I was quoting one of the jobs was times, and we were sitting in your hotel room, and I was looking at the building while I was quoting it. I was like, "That's cool." Doesn't mean anything to me, but I had so much fun there.
Yeah.
Well, if the Bears move out of there, you should get that piece of history.
You're going to the big dance, though. So.
Well, believe it or not, the NCAA regional is at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, look, I'll wait till Sunday. I just want to get through tonight first and see if they can make the semifinals of this thing, and then go. If
you win tonight, are you automatically in the big dance, or you gotta need a little luck?
I think they're automatically in the big dance now.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, now?
Right?
Oh, yeah. They clinched that last night. No question.
I think now they're playing for seeding.
Yes.
So
really? Oh, that is really good.
And right now, according to Mike DeCourcy, they're a 10 seed.
The crap right out of them. But anyway.
Yeah, Mike DeCourcy of BTN and Sporting News and Jerry Palmas, CBS, both have Penn State as a 10 seed right now. Joe Lenardi has Penn State as an 11. So.
Wow.
Yeah, the big thing now for Penn State, King, is can they stay out of the first four?
Yeah.
That's the big thing, and right now they would be.
Yeah. So look, just keep winning. Just have fun, keep winning. Got Northwestern tonight. Northwestern's had a great year. Give them a lot of credit. They've done just a lot of great things.
Look evenly matched.
Yep. So they don't. Their big man is okay. Matthew Nicholson. Penn State obviously has a freshman big man. Penn State will play small anyway, especially in the last 10 minutes of the game. They'll play smaller. Audige and Boo Buie are just two terrific players. Audige is a good offensive player, a great defensive player. Buie has gone from being a wild card out there to being more measured as to how he plays the game, and it's made a big difference. Look, go out and play tonight. Penn State beat them 9 days ago. Let's see how it goes. Penn State has 6 quad 1 wins. They're 6-6 in quad 1 games, and there's another quad 1 game tonight.
Hey, I got a question for you guys from one of my wealthy friends who owns all kinds of restaurants and stuff. They want to know your guys' opinion on Daniel Jones signing that big contract.
The opinion I have is quite simple, is that the Giants are drafting back of the pack. So they're in that 20 to 30 range. So if you're going to be drafting in the whatever, is it 18 to 30, 18 to 32, 20, somewhere in there, who are you going to get? All right. And in the free agent market, who are you going to get? And Brian Daboll I thought did a great job with him. I know Josh Allen was hurt a lot this year, but I don't think it's a coincidence that Josh Allen had his best year a year ago with Brian Daboll as offensive coordinator, and I don't think it's any coincidence that Daniel Jones had his best year with Brian Daboll as his head coach.
Good answer.
For me, I'm kind of with Steve here. I think the Giants had to give him that because they had nowhere else to go. But Daniel Jones is not worth that amount of money, at least not yet,
right,
even after this season. If you were to ask me between him and Saquon Barkley, who's the guy that makes that offense go, who's more important, I say Saquon Barkley. But that's not how it works. You have to pay your quarterback. Plus, Saquon Barkley has been injury-prone the last couple of years, though he was good this year. So they had to do it. He's not worth that much, but it had to be done.
But why, for example, is Dak Prescott?
Another good answer. Okay, now I can give an educated answer back to him. So.
Why does Dak Prescott, for example, get the contract he has? Because he's the quarterback.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and where are the Cowboys going to go? I mean, again, you always have to ask every time you're saying, what do I do with a spot? What are the other options? Now, the Eagles got lucky. They got rid of Wentz, so they lost the contract, right? They got draft picks as well, but they lucked out that the guy they weren't sure about, because remember, going into this year, the Eagles had the 3 draft picks, and many were saying they may have to use one of them on a quarterback. Well, now they don't have to use it on the quarterback, but now they're going to have to pay the quarterback. They're going to have to pay him.
It's interesting. I heard a stat today, and it kind of, you don't really think about it. There's only 3 quarterbacks in the NFL that have won a Super Bowl. You know, and everyone says, oh, you got to have that guy. Well, who is that guy? You know? The only ones left who are still playing, I think, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and I forgot who the third one was.
Matthew Stafford.
They're the only ones who have actually won a Super Bowl. And what are 32 teams?
Yeah. That's a great
there's
stat.
There's a lot of quarterbacks who haven't won anything yet. So
good work. Good work by you, King.
You know, it's an interesting stat, though. You know, you got to have that quarterback. Well, there's really only 3 that have actually done it. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we'll come back with picks in a moment. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Open 7 till 4, Monday through Friday. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
Okay, let's get to picks here.
All right, so last week I went 3-5, and Suit in my absence went 5-3. King went 6-2. Steve went 5-3. So that brings us to Steve now in the lead, 18-14. I'm 17-15. King is 16-16. So it's still anybody's game with the hoops picks.
There you go.
There we go. Now, 2 of these games we're going to pick already in progress, so we can pick them still if you guys are okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Ohio State, Michigan State. Ohio State's up 10 with about 10 to go, I think. So let's over Michigan State right now. I before the game started, I actually wrote down Ohio State. I like the way they're playing. I said that at the start of the show. So I've got the Buckeyes. King.
I put Michigan State. I'll stay with it. I'm not going to change it. So
And Steve.
Michigan State.
I think it's a 9-point game right now, but I said at the beginning of this game that I thought the pivotal point of the game was going to be the final 10 minutes. Would Ohio State have enough legs playing its third game in 3 days? I'm still going with Michigan State. In fact, Ohio State just missed 2 free throws. So. All
right. Now, the other game in progress right now is in the SEC, Tennessee and Missouri. Tennessee's only up 1 with 45 seconds left in the first half. I've got the Volunteers in this one. Steve.
I'll take Tennessee.
And King.
Tennessee also.
Yeah. All right. Clean sweep there. Okay, the rest are tonight. ACC is Duke and Miami. King.
I went back and forth, and I settled on Duke.
Steve.
I'll take Miami.
Good team, Miami.
Yeah, I'm going with the Canes, too.
No, Jim's a good coach. Jim Larinaga a really good coach. So
yeah, I just don't trust Duke right now. I'm taking. There's some nights where they look great, some nights where they don't. I'm sticking with Miami. They've been more consistent.
Last night they were great. They beat Pitt by 27.
Yes, Duke was. Yes. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Pitt there, but there you go. I'm going with Miami though in this one. Also in the ACC. UVA against Clemson. King.
I took Virginia.
I've got U of A as well. Steve.
Obviously, I saw Clemson back in November. A good athletic team, but I just think that Virginia's more disciplined.
All right, then we jump back to the SEC. Vandy against Kentucky. King, I already know who you're going to pick.
Now Vanderbilt. I hope they win by 40. I want to say, can't stand that guy.
The Clarion grad, you can't stand.
So.
Well, you know what, though? His team's been very inconsistent, too, this year. I'm going with Vandy.
All right.
I'll say this. Jerry Stackhouse, Vanderbilt's coach, the former North Carolina player.
That's right.
You know what? He is one heck of a coach. I mean, he runs a lot of sets. He's very difficult to get ready for as a coach. I think Kentucky will win just because I think they've got more talent and better legs at this time of the year. But Vandy's, they're well coached.
All right, now we go to the final game of the Big Ten tournament tonight in the quarterfinals. Maryland, Indiana. Winner of this game plays the winner of Penn State Northwestern tomorrow in the semifinals. Steve, who you got?
It is Indiana because I'll tell you right now, it's going to be. I'm going to walk in there tonight. It's going to be a sea of red from Indiana. They are here in droves.
True, it is a home game for them in somewhat respects. King.
Yeah,
I got Indiana playing Penn State.
You know, I'm going with the Terps. I like the way they're playing right now. I think besides Penn State, they're my other dark horse for this tournament. So I'm going with Maryland. And now, finally, this won't count, but King and I will pick the game. Steve will do a prediction for keys to the game, Penn State, Northwestern. So, final keys to the game for Penn State tonight, Steve.
Final keys have to do a good job against the Northwestern defense, which now that they've seen it once, that really does help because people don't realize the last 34 minutes of the game against Northwestern, Penn State outscored them 61-48 after only scoring 7 points in the first 12 minutes. So that's going to be a big plus, and you've got to have some control over Audige, Barnheiser, and especially Boo Buie.
All right, King. I think you made your
Penn State
pick. Yeah, you got Penn State. Okay. You said you got Penn State, Indiana tomorrow. Okay. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to lean Northwestern here. For more reasons, Steve, that you brought up about Ohio State, I do worry about legs, even though Ohio State's playing 2 in a row. But Penn State, of course, coming off last night. They're hot. I think they bring that momentum into the first half. But how does it go into the second half? And you got nothing at all from Kemba Jai last night. You need a little bit more from him. How does that favor? I'm going to lean Northwestern, but I will not be shocked at all if Penn State wins this game because they're playing good basketball right now. But I'm going to lean Northwestern.
I'll say this. Micah Shrewsbury practices in such a way that creates load management. And I talked to Greg Miskinnis, the strength and conditioning coach, this afternoon. And he just privately told me, he says, right now, our legs are really good.
Good. All right.
Good.
Well, I hope that's right. I hope I'm wrong. Absolutely. So. There you go.
Okay, boys, here we go. Steve,
I know you guys don't think I do anything out there. Well,
you're not just eating deep dish pizza out there.
Yeah,
I've had none. Zero.
You're not a pizza uno guy?
Huh?
I'm talking to Steve. You're not a pizza uno guy?
Oh. They went out for deep dish pizza on Wednesday night as a team. I did not go. Dick and I went out with Dana O'Neill from The Athletic and a couple of other people to an Italian restaurant. So I missed out on Pizzeria Uno with the 2-inch thick crust.
We got Subway tonight. I got it sitting right here. My night to cook. Oh.
Perfect. Okay, boys.
There you
I think
go.
people here realize I'm not picking up any student, so I gotta go.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, brackets
Take
next
care.
week. I sent you both an email, so we do it next week for our brackets.
Okay,
So there we go.
I'm all over that. That is
All right.
awesome. So, I love playing the brackets. That's fun.
And I'm inviting Lisa to make a bracket with the boys, and they're going to be one bracket with us too. And I'm curious to see how that does against us.
Normally just picking by team colors wins.
Oh, yeah. Remember that girl Heidi?
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
That girl,
Oh, yeah.
the girl Heidi that I used to date, she would pick a bear will beat a lion in a fight. So she picked the bears. And she won the pool every year.
Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai. Great selection of new and pre-owned inventory with the sales staff ready to serve you and save you money, and the service department there for the diagnostics, the inspections, all the routine maintenance. It's all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. Steve, mobile today in Chicago, on his way now to the United Center as we speak. Penn State and Northwestern tonight at 6:30 on WKOK with the pregame at 6. And every Friday show also brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. Best selection of beer anywhere, water, wine coolers, soft drinks, snacks. They roast those peanuts fresh and hot every day. And the pickle bar, led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Earlier in the week, Dick Jerardi joined the show to preview Penn State's run at this Big Ten tournament. This was before the Illinois game last night. So Steve caught up with DJ as Penn State got ready to go for this week in Chicago.
Thank you, Steve. And yes, endurance is my middle name.
Team has its back to the wall on the morning of February 14th. They are 14-11. They're 5-9 in the conference, and your advice was simple: win them all. Well, they've won 5 of 6 in this 6-game streak. What have been some of the common threads that's allowed them to succeed?
Yeah, I mean, individually, obviously, Jalen Pickett went wild, right? He had the 41-point game in the first game and a 6 against Illinois, then backed it up with a huge game at Minnesota. So that was the first part of it. I think they got their confidence back, Steve, even in the loss at Maryland. They got to that point where, let's say, 14-11, 5-9 in the league, and that carried through, I think, really the rest of the season. And the biggest difference was, unlike earlier when they were losing all the close games, all of a sudden they started winning all but the Rutgers game. Minnesota was close. Ohio State was close. And obviously the last 2 were decided on the last shot of the game. And both went Penn State's way. And over time, that is generally supposed to even out. There have been seasons when it has not. But this year it's kind of just about .500 on those one-possession games in the final 5 minutes. And now I think we said this on the broadcast, but the results have now mirrored the performance. This team has always played like an NCAA team. Now they have the results and the resume of an NCAA.
When you look at the small lineup, that as what we referred to, in other words, they bring Miles Dredd onto the floor, they take the center off the floor, or it could be an Evan Mahaffey. Why has that been so successful?
I think it's really, really hard to guard. Most importantly, I think teams freak out guarding it. And I think it affects their offenses, Steve, because they often take their big men off the floor. And obviously that's Penn State's Achilles heel, is they're not a big team, and defending the post and layups has been the hardest thing for this group to do. So by having the other team be kind of so concerned about defending your offense, actually I think also makes Penn State's defense better. And to amplify on your first question, obviously one of the biggest differences has been Cameron Winter.
Yep.
He's been awesome in this stretch, and obviously had 2 straight game winners. But it wasn't just those game winners. He has played really well. And, again, this is coaching and a feel for your team. And Cam was struggling. I mean, he had lost his starting spot for a couple of games, and he was mostly struggling because he couldn't make a jump shot. And Mike just said, hey, you know what? Go do what you do. Find your spot on the floor where you're comfortable. Well, he started to feel comfortable again, drove, got to the mid-range, and now all of a sudden he's hitting everything, threes included. So, yeah, I think that was a huge individual part of this late run. I mean, Cam had a really good start to this season.
Yeah.
And it's a long year, and he's the only one that had a couple games where he wasn't as good as he was in others. But he's been great. And to have a player of his experience and actually has an NCAA resume, he's been in the tournament, he's won a conference tournament, I think that's going to be gigantic. And obviously, 2 straight game-winning shots, 3 and a follow layup. It doesn't get much more dramatic than that.
He told us the other day when we talked to him about how he's learned to play the game with Pickett.
Yep.
Let's face it, Dick, you and I both know that for him, who was so, for the most part, ball-centric at Drexel, that would be quite an adjustment for him.
For sure. And not only are you no longer the primary ball handler, you're on a team where one guy has the ball almost all the time, as he should. I mean, Pickett is going to start making, as they're announcing All-American teams. I think Sporting News announced theirs today. He's on the second-team All-American team, and hopefully he makes a couple first teams because he deserves it. But yeah, no, it was a huge adjustment. And when you're used to playing with it, when do you cut? When do you play off it? And clearly, after I can't remember if it was with us or when I was listening to the post game on the way home, but I think it was the post game. Somebody was asking Mike about that last play, and he said, obviously we're going to give the ball to Pickett, let him make a decision, and if they're guarding him one-on-one, like Ohio State did at the end, he's just going to go score.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 players around the three-point line to spread the defense, and then he put Winter in the dunker spot on the opposite side from where Pickett was in case there's a rebound. Well, there was a rebound, and he was there, and he got it. That's great coaching because I don't know that I've ever – maybe other people have done that, but that was pretty cool. I mean, the odds on that ball coming there were slim when it was shot because of where it was shot from. But you know what? You can't get it if you're not there. And, of course, then the ball got tipped there. And it was Seth said in the postgame that he tipped it over to Winter. I mean, I saw a lot of Maryland players there. Frankly, I couldn't tell who tipped what. But the good news is for Penn State, the ball bounced correctly for them.
Well, yeah, Seth says he's the one that tipped it over to him. And look, he knew he missed it because he was charging to the bucket.
Absolutely.
When you and I have been around Seth Lundy and Miles Dredd more than any other player on this team because they are the 4th and 5th year players respectively on this team. They put themselves in this spot. I thought we heard the genuine emotion from Miles in the postgame. We talked to him about what being in this spot means to him.
Yeah, Steve. Look, 3 years ago it was such a good team. I mean, there can't be many better teams in the history of Penn State basketball than that team. And by the way, I don't know if people saw Lamar Stevens in overtime last night against Boston going wild, but made a couple of big moves. But, yeah, the fact that they didn't get an opportunity was, look, a lot of teams didn't. Obviously, nobody got an opportunity to play, but, Duke plays in it every year. Penn State doesn't get that chance. And for Lamar and Mike Watkins, and I should have mentioned him Sunday, but obviously John Harris, such an integral part of the program, didn't get to play in a tournament they deserved to play in. It's just so cool for Miles and Seth, who are the last remaining players from that team, that they're going to get a shot, and I do think they're going to get a shot to play. And they can represent all the guys that didn't get a chance to play. And, of course, all the guys like Jalen Pickett, who are he's going to get his first shot at Andrew Funk, and guys who've had great storied careers who just need a bow on top, and they're going to get it. And I've been telling people this for weeks. I said, if Penn State gives in, they are going to be one of the most dangerous Big Ten teams because of how they play. And nobody plays like that. I mean, literally nobody in the country plays like that.
Right. Well, exactly. Because the Big Ten, the problem they'll have in the tournament, at least my opinion is, so much of the game is played in a phone booth. And, there's a big, wide 94 by 50 world out there. And that to me is a big difference, and Penn State plays that way.
Yeah, Penn State uses it, and in a league where hardly anybody runs, obviously Iowa runs, they're trying to outscore you, and whether it's much fun to watch. Penn State will run with anybody. They just don't get that much opportunity in the Big Ten because nobody wants to run. Everybody wants to go slow. So I think if they're in a tournament setting with another team that's looking at them going, I don't know, not all that athletic, and they're kind of small, and they want to run up and down the court, they could knock out 15 threes and blast that team right on out of there. But, that's fun, and that's speculation, and, that's for next week. But,
you're right.
What's in front of them is an opportunity to just enhance the resume, right? Just what have we been saying? Just win. Just win as many games as you can win. They're able to win Thursday. That would be maybe up to 20 wins, which isn't the magic number that used to be, but it's still a real good number to have.
Yeah.
And the draw is fascinating because if the seeds hold at the bottom of the bracket, and Penn State, if they win, they would then play Northwestern, and then they would play Indiana. They're 4-0 against it.
Right.
So, what does it mean? Who knows? It's weird.
Right.
But, I mean, they pounded Illinois twice. They pounded Indiana, and obviously beat Northwestern on the last-second shot. But to me, the one matchup that's the most difficult for them is Purdue, just because of the strength and Edey. Although I think they could actually play with them in the right circumstance. Last time was not the right circumstance when a player who's hit, 9 threes the rest of the season, made 9 threes in the game.
Exactly.
What was that all about? But, I think they're competitive with everybody, but it's not like they're anybody stands above anybody else in the league, and I think the standings really reflect that. And even now, like Minnesota played Wisconsin down to the wire the other night.
Yep.
There's no game you would feel terribly confident saying, well, I know that's going to happen. I don't remember the league ever being this close. I thought 3 years ago was one of the best leagues since I've been doing this. I thought there were 3 or 4 teams that could have made the Final Four that year. I don't know if that's the case this year, but I do know Chicago is going to be fun because every game could be like the last week was, right? But one crazy finish after another.
Penn State has had success with Illinois during the course of this season. Why?
Yeah, I think a couple things, Steve. I think they were able to use, certainly in the first game, Illinois was playing a very different style than they're playing now, but they were able to use how aggressive they were chasing the ball against them, and really Illinois never could figure out what was happening.
Right.
And then in the second game, they're not, and it'd be interesting to see. I got to think Brad Underwood's going to change what they've done again, but they were singling Pickett the whole game. They never ran a second guy.
That's right.
And they tried every defender they had, and none of them could do anything with him. I mean, it was just one of those days where he was just phenomenal from all over the court and making threes So I think they don't have a great matchup for Pickett, and hardly anybody does when you try to single cover him. And I think that as athletic as they are, when you watch them, they take some wild shots.
Yeah.
And sometimes wild shots lead to runouts. And I mean, they're dangerous because they're so athletic. And you know, a guy like Shannon could hit 8 threes.
Yeah.
But he could also go over it. Just
right.
You hope it's the day that they're going over. But yeah, they're probably of the teams in the Big Ten, I would say they're the least predictable as to what might happen.
Exactly. I agree.
They have a lot of young, talented players and a lot of older, talented players, but none of these players have ever really played with each other until this year. And there's games like against Texas when they made the great comeback, they look great. And there's other games that look like they never played together.
Right.
So I'm sure Coach Underwood is having that same feeling when he watches his team play. But I mean, they're dangerous, but they're no more dangerous than Maryland would be, or Michigan, or anybody else. I mean, you're going to have to play one of these teams, and I think the fact that they've beaten them pretty handily twice, I think it puts it a little. I wonder, Illinois, maybe they're questioning the situation, right? Well, wait a second, we got hammered by this team. Maybe they tried too hard. But again, I don't dislike the matchup, but you got to go do it, man.
Yeah,
and
right.
Good news is Penn State's playing their best ball of the year at the time when you want to be playing the best ball.
Plus, Epps has been out the last 2 games.
Yep.
He got a concussion. Yeah. I guess I think it was in practice. He got an elbow to the jaw.
Yeah, but there's some question whether he'll play. And he had played well down the stretch.
And that means Shannon's been the point guard. And when he's the point guard, that means he's the smallest guy out there at 6'6".
Yeah, no, they are huge. And the other thing that's interesting is their defensive numbers, unlike, say, Rutgers or Northwestern, they're more based on block shots than steals.
That's right.
Well, it's hard to block shots against a team that's launching 33s.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons their defense has maybe not been as effective against Penn State as it's been against a lot of the rest of the league, which is more oriented toward getting the ball to the rim with Edey and Jackson Davis and Dickinson and all the really good centers in the league. So Penn State's that's kind of an antidote for a shot blocking team when you're strictly a perimeter oriented team, which Penn State is. And when they go to the rim, it's mostly just Pickett. And Illinois is clearly, especially after the first game when they got 3-balled to death, they're clearly scared of singling Pickett because they know, like in the last 2 games, right? Everybody was double teaming him. So what did he have? I think he had 18 assists and 2 turnovers in the last 2 games. So you can double team all you want, but he's going to find somebody open. And on that team, when they're open, it's usually from 3, and when they're making them, it adds up in a hurry.
March Madness is basketball, but it doesn't mean it can't translate to other venues. I was driving in the car, and for some reason I was drawn to Horse Racing Network.
Down the stretch. Dave Johnson, Bill Finley.
The great Dave Johnson.
Yep.
Even better guy.
Indeed.
Yep.
The legend, down the stretch they come. The legend himself.
And I heard this familiar voice talking about a Parks version of March Madness.
Right. So today, Steve, at the track, my home track where I go, it's like 20 minutes from where I live, in beautiful Bensalem, PA, in Bucks County, is hosting what they are calling Parks Madness, where they're having 11 races. 3 of them are stakes races. The other 8 are named after the Big 5 schools, Drexel, Delaware Valley University, and Penn State. And each of the races just has like a name. It's in honor of Penn State. And a number of the former coaches and players from Penn State are going, and the other schools are going to be at the track today. They're just going to have a good time. Ben Luber, I believe, is going to make an appearance as a Penn Stater. Of course, Ben played in the early 2000s. He was recruited by Jerry Dunn, played 4 years for Coach Chellis from Council Rock High School, now the head coach at the George School in Newtown, PA, which won their first ever Friends League championship this year. So Ben will be there. Mike Breeswick, who you called a number of Mike's games when he was playing for Coach Cheney at Temple. Mike will be there with some of his teammates. Rashid Bey from St. Joe's. The great Speedy Morris from LaSalle. Harry Peretta, the Hall of Fame women's coach at Villanova, big racetrack guy. People will be out there. Everybody will have a good time, and we'll get ready for March Madness. We'll get us ready for March Madness.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't ask if there's any horse we should keep an eye on in these early races, not just at Parks but across the country, as we start thinking about the first Saturday in May.
Yeah, I mean, the 2-year-old champ, Forte, made his 2023 debut Saturday, Steve, and could not have been any more impressive.
Right.
Won the Fast Youth at Gulfstream Park for Todd Fletcher, who, of course, is one of the legends in the game. And if the Derby was run today, he would be the favorite. But I'm going to give you a horse who's only run twice. He's going to run next probably in the Santa Anita Derby, named Arabian Night. He's probably the most talented of the bunch. Now, he's caught up in the whole Baffert lunacy. Baffert can run horses anywhere right now except at Churchill Downs' own tracks. And, of course, the problem is Churchill Downs owns Churchill Downs, which happens to be where the Kentucky Derby is held.
Yeah.
So through this year's Kentucky Derby, Baffert cannot run horses there. So Arabian Night's training it's been sent to another trainer named Tim Yaktine, who had a lot of the Baffert horses last year. The difference between this year and last year with the Baffert horses, Baffert is not banned from the track. Last year he had a 90-day suspension at this time, a general suspension for what happened in the 2021 Derby with Medina Spirit.
Yeah.
That's long over. So Baffert will be there. Technically, he's not supposed to be overseeing the training of Arabian Night, but he can watch the horse on the track every day. He can see what's going on, and I suspect Mr. Yaktine might be having a few conversations. But anyway, that's a real talent. So yeah, we're getting through the second series of Derby preps, and then the final series usually comes the first week in April. Florida Derby, Santa Anita Derby, Bluegrass Stakes, Arkansas Derby, Wood Memorial, all the familiar names, and then they'll start to sort themselves out as they head for Kentucky in the first Saturday in May. But yeah, I mean, I could go on a riff about the whole Baffert Churchill Downs thing.
There you go. Dick Jerardi joining us earlier this week. Penn State Northwestern coming up in a little bit on WKOK with DJ and Steve at 6, tip-off at 6:30. We'll talk to you Monday, hopefully with an NCAA tourney bid to talk about and a whole lot more. It's the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.